It was a book about my life, so they said, you know, just write about your life. So I said, oh, thank you, yeah. Yeah, it turned out to be the greatest comic novel ever written, but when it started, it was supposed to be a memoir, you know, a autobiography. So it makes you think about, well, what is my life? So I started thinking about it, right? So I said, okay, I wake up in the morning and I eat some Count Chocula. And then I watch Sports Center while I'm digesting my Count Chocula. And I phone my friend, Fat Freddy. And I go, hey, you want to eat a cheese sandwich or something around 3 o'clock? I got to wait for my Count Chocula to digest, but how'd that settle with you? He goes, yeah, great. So I get together with him. And on my way, I get some groceries to bring home for later. And then, of course, there's dinner, you know? So most of my life is finding and consuming food. So it doesn't make for a riveting read. It's incredibly repetitious. When you're writing, you learn a lot. I asked my doctor, this is interesting, because I wondered, you know, I know the first two causes of death, heart disease and cancer, neck and neck, you know, to kill you. So I said to the doctor, I said, what's the third most common cause of death? What is the third? And he said, complications. That's like the doctor fucking up. Like, how is that the third? That's the third? You know, you go, hey, Doc, I can't help but noticing my father is dead. And I remember yesterday you said it was a simple operation. And he's like, yeah, we thought it was. It looks simple in the book, I'll tell you that. But you cut open a man, by God, it's all this red stringy stuff and everything. Are you a doctor? You go, no, you wouldn't have. Way too complicated for you. But you worry when you get old, you know? You're concerned, scared. I remember my grandmother, you know, she was like, I think she was like 85 at the time or something. And I looked at her, she was sitting on a chair. I said, hey, Grandma, she had a bruise, right? And I went from her wrist all the way up her arm right to her shoulder. A big bruise, purple, green, and yellow. A third of each. And I said, Grandma, where did you get that bruise? And then my grandmother said, the wind. I said, the wind? And she said, yes, do you remember that gentle breeze yesterday? I was like, yeah, I remember. I went to a guy who was a big writer guy. He told me about things I didn't know about. Metaphors. You ever hear of them? He said, you got to use metaphors. I'm like, what's that? He's like, that's a thing. So a metaphor is like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? So he's like, that means you can take a person, you know, and you can give him all the information and everything, but he still has to be the one to absorb it himself. So I was like, well, why the fuck didn't you just say that? Like, what? Why do you have to put a horse into it? Like, what? You thought I was so stupid you needed to make it into some fable? Like, what? A horse? Or sometimes the metaphor part of it is true, but then the literal part is not true. Like they'll go like, that which does not kill you makes you stronger, right? Now, metaphorically, that's true. Like maybe a woman breaks your heart, you know, or life deals you a bad hand. And then the next time you're prepared for it and it doesn't hurt you as much. But literally, it's not true at all. Literally, it's that which does not kill you makes you weaker. and will probably kill you the next time it shows up. That's why personally, I like the ones where the metaphor is true and the literal part is true. Like, they say, like, beauty is only skin deep. I think that's beautiful because it is, like, you know, really what makes a person attractive is what's inside, their friendship, their conviviality, their goodwill, not this optic trick, you know? And so it has that. But also literally it's true because you could be, you know, the handsomest guy in the world, you know? You'd have like this chiseled jaw and beautiful thick mane of hair, you know? Large shoulders and narrow waist. You guys horny? Is it just me or? Giant quads, a perfect body. 6% body fat, you know? But you take that same guy and you skin him. All of a sudden, he is not so easy on the eye. Getting old, you know. My parents were teachers, which is a noble profession, everyone says. They're fine people, but you know what's weird? They all say teachers are the real heroes. My folks, not heroic at all. And as a matter of fact, I have never met a teacher that showed any heroism. And I've known a lot of teachers because I was a student for years and years. And never once I go, hey, Barney, man, I was just looking at old man Abernathy. You know, the way he's erasing that chalk on the chalkboard, where he put the chalk earlier. And I was thinking, he cuts a heroic figure, doesn't he? No, me neither. I didn't think that either. I just heard that somewhere. It's not that hard a job when you think about it, you know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty good job. If you have a job where you go to work, like grade 3, you go to work, and you're 50 times bigger than everybody else that you work with, that's a pretty good job. Plus, they do all the work. You do nothing. That's... How about the students? How about giving some of them the heroism, you know, the 5-year-olds that are working for free? And what do you need, really, to be a teacher anyway? What's the, you know, qualifications? Let's say you're teaching a 3rd grade. What do you need? A 4th grade education. Really, anything above that, you're overqualified, really, you know? Person. I don't know if you're religious or not. I'm sort of half religious, half not. I try to obey the commandments. And it's funny that some of the commandments are very easy to obey and some are very difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like, thou shalt not kill. That's pretty easy to obey that, you know? But then there's other ones that are really hard to obey. Like, there's one that says, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's ox. And now, I have this old scraggly fucking ox. I bought him used. That was my first mistake. And the guy that sold it to me didn't tell me about all the fucking diseases this thing has. So he fucking wandered around. He can't pull anything. And he has a big thing around his neck, like a bell, and that caused neck problems, so I have to take that off. And then I walk past my neighbor's house, and I look in his garage, and here stands the most beautiful like blue-gray Belgian ox that I've ever laid eyes upon. And he's brushing his lustrous... And I'm not supposed to covet it. Thou shalt not bear false witness. That's a tough one. But it's good, you know, not to lie. But it's very, very hard, you know, not lying. Because you want people to like you, and you know what I mean? Want to... all kinds of reasons to lie. I thought of a way of not lying, and I'll share it with you if you like. You can tell the truth, word for word, absolutely true. But when you do it, you use a sarcastic accent. So I'll give you an example. Like your wife goes, "Hey, I noticed at dinner you were looking at my sister. You're not attracted to my sister, are you?" And then you go, "Oh, yes. I forgot to tell you, I'm attracted to your sister." She's like, "All right, Henry, never mind." You go, "No, why? It's true. I want to fuck her. Hey, the only reason I married you was to fuck your sister, right?" She's like, "Nah, I shouldn't have brought it up." "No, why wouldn't you bring it up? I mean, you're the victim of this whole thing." I remember at the vows, I kept thinking, I am going to seduce every member of my wife's family. Regardless of gender, I'm gonna fuck all of them. Then afterwards, I'm gonna invite them over to the house and set it on fire, killing them all. And then I'm gonna move on to the next town where I do it again. It's like, all right, Henry, we don't need to... You don't have to be like this. Why? Why? What? You're the good person in this scenario. I'm the guy that goes from town to town, fucking and murdering entire families and leaving conflagrations of ashes that used to be human beings. I'm the most savage and prolific serial killer that ever was, and I've just never been found out yet, that's all. You know, just go to sleep. Yeah, I'll go to sleep. Or maybe I'll buy kerosene all night. So, that's just an example. You don't have to do that one. Just saying, that's all. But listen, there's important things.